From the mutable air of Gemini season to the cardinal water of Cancer season, there is a lot shifting and changing up there, which means there's a lot in our lives shifting and changing down here. Hi, my name is Comet, and welcome to Just Another Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrology forecast for the week of June 19th to June 25th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my Cosmic Corner, the unique opportunities and blessings and challenges encapsulated by this week's astrology and how you are going to co-create with them in order to live your most magical and your most aligned life. And let me tell you how you're going to co-create with this week's astrology. This week's astrology requires this delicate balance around moving forward into the future with courage, with confidence, as well as reviewing the past with perhaps some nostalgia or at least some reflection, some introspection. So let's talk about the forward momentum embedded within this week's astrology. So we have Mercury in its home turf of Gemini, which is really just supporting us all with this burst of curiosity and communication and clarity. And it's receiving some supportive aspects from Chiron, which is allowing us to communicate our truth with more vulnerability, with more honesty, as well as a sextile to Mars in Leo, which is allowing ourselves to really assert ourselves, allow our voice to be heard. We also have Mars, the planet of action and assertion, trining Chiron, which is really around feeling the fear, feeling the insecurities, feeling the inadequacies that we may feel internally, but not allowing it to stop us, moving full steam ahead into the future and putting our most confident, strong foot forward. So there's all this energy around moving forward beyond old stories, okay? Beyond old mechanisms within your mind around, well, that's not for me because I'm not good enough, or I just don't communicate about things like that, or it's not safe for me to really speak my truth within this connection. There's all this energy around moving beyond those old stories and just moving forward into the future. But there's also some energies around reviewing the past. I mean, first off, we start the week with Venus entering its pre-retrograde shadow. Okay, so all I'm saying is that some Venusian affairs within your life, particularly related to your past, may begin to trickle in. And Venus has to do with beauty. Venus has to do with love. Venus has to do with money. So you really need to go through this week paying special attention to what comes up around those themes. Who you hear from your romantic past, an old invoice that you forgot to send that you need to resend. Money from the past can come back. Bills from the past can come back. Exes from the past can come back. People you used to flirt with from the past can come back. So there's this energy this week that even though mentally we're moving forward, we're looking to the future, we are moving beyond those old stopping mechanisms in our brain around stop, it's not safe to do that, or stop, it's not safe to communicate that, or stop, you're not good enough for that. We're kind of like moving beyond those old stories. And you might be tested in that because let me tell you, a great way to sort of document how much you've really grown is being able to revisit old places, old people, old situations within your life to really be able to see, have I evolved here? Am I going to slip back into old ways of perceiving the world now that this person from the past has come back? Now that this financial opportunity from the past has come back, there's a little bit of a life school test there. And also, speaking of the past, we also have the sun ingressing into Cancer. And Cancer is the sign of home, of family, of roots. It is a sign that is associated with nostalgia, that is associated with the past. And of course, this does signify the initiation of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere and the initiation of winter in the Southern Hemisphere. And since I am in the Northern Hemisphere, my relationship to each of these signs is very much connected to the season that I experience. But I always think of this very nostalgic energy embedded within summers. Like I feel like there is something extra nostalgic when we reflect on past summers. Like people will talk about, oh my gosh, do you remember this particular summer? What's the song in the summer? Like it just feels like summertime is an interesting time capsule that we reflect on. So it always felt so apt that the sign Cancer kind of kicks off the initiation of summertime. But I will say, with the sun entering Cancer, we can definitely expect to feel a little bit more emotionally responsive. And we can also be reflecting on the past, where it is that we've come from, where it is that we've been. So it's this interesting balance of the two. And while overwhelmingly within the week's astrology, there is this energy of clarity, that dissipates as we get closer to the weekend, as Mercury in Gemini will square off with Neptune in Pisces, which will lead to some confusion, some delusion, some overthinking, some fantasy, okay? The real challenge and the real ask of this week's astrology is, how is it that you can, sure, reminisce on the past, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, is being able to introspect, being able to revisit places from our past, to be able to tune into, wow, how have I evolved in comparison, right? But also not getting stuck there, because with Mercury square Neptune, we could be idealizing it a little bit, revisiting this place from our past, being like, oh, life was so much simpler here. Felt like I could go back, just kind of fantasizing and idealizing, whether it's a place from the past, a person from the past. Okay, I'm just warning you. Venus is in its pre-retrograde shadow, so you got to be mindful about that. And you have to be mindful to, yes, reminisce, introspect on the past. That's how we grow. But know that the direction of life is moving forward into the future. Take the data and keep it moving, my loves. So we will be breaking down this energy thematically as well as day by day. Before we do, I have a free gift for you guys, as well as a quick little announcement. So this is being posted on the Gemini new moon, so it felt only right to give you guys a very Gemini-esque gift, and that is a free chapter of my ebook, The Care and Keeping of Your Birth Chart and Your Soul. You can download your signs chapter, which allows you to get more familiar with your signs archetype and really how to nurture those components of your being. So it breaks it down as an archetype overall, as well as placement by placement. So you can get your free chapter by clicking the link in the description, selfcareastrology.com, and it'll come up in a little pop-up when you're on the site. And then you could just choose your sign and it'll be sent to you via email. You can check it out, learn more about how to really nourish that component of you, that component of your being. So I'm super excited to be able to offer this to you all. And I do want to make an announcement, just in case people are not aware. I do have an astrology course. I have two, actually. Luminary Self-Care really just breaks down the moon within astrology, and Self-Care Astrology is an 8-week course that really supports you with not just understanding astrology, not just understanding these foundations, but really how to care for these components of ourselves, like really how to view our chart as an instruction manual to the care and keeping of our souls, and supporting ourselves as well as other people within our lives if we did want to take this art of interpretation to better understanding them as well. So both of these courses we're doing like a rolling admission in the summertime. I've been talking to people who are jumping in, and everybody just has vacations and things of that nature. So I thought all summertime enrollment will be open. You can jump in whenever aligns for you. There are options for one-on-one support, or you could just self-study. If that is your vibe, there's options for little voice memos from me every single week, where we talk about your chart, your questions, your transits. We talk about all the things. I love my voice memos. It's like one of my favorite things that I do is voice memoing every Monday. So there are options for that you can check out. And again, this will be open all summer, so you guys will hear me talk about it. There are no limits to when it is that you can enroll. You can enroll whenever aligns for you. Luminary Self-Care is a 4-week course. Self-Care Astrology is an 8-week course. You have lifetime access to the online content, so you don't even need to move through at that rate. That's just what I recommend. And then we'll do like a little end of summer little gathering where we'll have some group classes. And just a heads up, if you ever jump into the container, whether that is the 4-week Luminary Self-Care Moon course or the 8-week Self-Care Astrology course, you will always get an invitation to the group classes. Okay, so if you've jumped into either of those within the past, you will get an invitation from me on those classes in the summertime. And if you jump in now, those classes will be our little like celebration, as well as just being able to chat and connect. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. But I would love to know, what are you guys sipping on to start your week? Shout out Lindsay, who slid in my DMs to tell me about these. I drink pink drink every so often, which is just a little drink that I make where it's just basically sparkling water, a little bit of grenadine, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And Lindsay slid in and was like, you should try Poppy. It's like basically pink drink, but I guess it has some juice as well. So it was on sale, and if you guys watch Magic Monday, you know how I am about sales. Like I literally will buy like 8 of something that I don't even need if it's like buy 8 and save 10 cents. Like literally my rationale just goes out the window. I'm just like, if I could save 10 cents, I'm gonna save 10 cents. Like I literally, this was on sale. It was if you buy 4 craft sodas, you save 20% or something. I don't really drink craft soda, but I was like, say less, 20%. I also, on that same shopping trip, there was a deal where if you buy 8 peanut butters, you saved $2 on each. And I was like, well, I can't resist that. But now I have 8 peanut butters. I have 8 peanut butters and they expire in a year. So if I'm eating like a lot of peanut butter, mind your business. Literally all common sense for me goes out the window if there's a sale involved. I'm like, if I can save money buying 8 peanut butters, even though I would never buy 8 peanut butters, I will. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, which is a segment that we do here on Magic Monday to begin to really dial into the themes within this week's astrology to reveal how it will come to the surface within your universe. So we essentially take all of those astrological influences that I was chatting with you about, from Jupiter sextile Saturn to the Sun ingressing into Cancer to Mercury square Neptune. We essentially take all of those influences, combine them, and then compare that to a real life scenario so that you can begin to tune into what dynamics may come to the surface within your world. So this week's vibe check feels like a debate at the family function, okay? And when it comes to vibe check, I want you to feel empowered to sub in whichever details make it the most relevant within your world. So maybe it's not a family function, maybe it's at the break room, at work, maybe it's with your friendship group, maybe it's not the debate topic I'm going to list now, maybe it would be something totally different. But for the purpose of the vibe check, we're going to say it's a family reunion as the Sun does enter Cancer this week. And Cancer is a sign that is associated with home, with family, with emotional receptivity, with roots, with the past, with nostalgia. And the Sun is a spotlight. So the Sun spotlights whatever life themes of the sign that it's moving through. So Cancer governs home, family, emotional receptivity, roots, nostalgia, the past. So there is a spotlight upon those themes, as well as you'll want to check out within your chart which house holds Cancer, because those will also be life arenas that are spotlighted for you personally. But collectively, we are really illuminating these Cancer themes, both our physical sanctuary of home as well as the home of our soul, both the family that we came from as well as the family that we are creating, both our upbringing and our roots and how that shaped us, as well as how we are choosing to be as we move forward. So all of these themes will be brought to the surface as we navigate this season. So we'll say for the purpose of the vibe check that it is a family gathering, and right when you arrive, you haven't even put down the veggie platter yet, you see Aunt Cynthia is making a beeline over to you, and you know exactly what she is going to ask you because she asks you every family function. So she comes over to you and asks, are you pregnant yet? Like, what are you waiting for? You're not getting any younger. Now, you have said many times that you have chosen to be child-free, but she has such an intense energy about her that typically by the end of the conversation, you're like, okay, I'll think about it. And then the cycle repeats the next time that you see her at a family gathering. But this family reunion, you're feeling pretty spicy. You're feeling more sure of yourself, more grounded in your beliefs. So you choose to really engage within the discourse. You put down your veggie platter and you choose to really let her know. You say, this is my perspective. These are my beliefs that shaped it. These are the reasons why we have made this decision, and these are even some studies and some research to back up why we are making this decision. Now, keep in mind, many of you have children, so of course, this particular topic probably wouldn't be relevant discourse for you, but feel free to sub in whatever topic, whether it's politics, religion, whatever hot button topic that typically comes up when you're around a certain gathering, right? And so you hold space for yourself. You aren't disrespectful, but you do hold space. You allow your voice to be heard. And there's something healing about that. There's something healing around allowing your voice to be heard. Of course, Mars is in Leo. We have Mars in Leo trine Chiron, as well as Mars in Leo sextiling Mercury and Gemini. So we're letting them hear us roar. Again, not in a disrespectful way, not yelling and screaming, but just allowing ourselves to hold space, noticing ways that we would have shrunk away and choosing to show up just with our shoulders back and our voice clear. because we're grounded in what it is that we believe in. And of course, the vibe check doesn't end there, because after you have this discourse, you really feel like she hears you, and you feel like that conversation won't be repeated. Because again, rather than snoozing Aunt Cynthia being like, okay, maybe, I'll think about it, okay, you really held your space, and she might not have agreed with you, but she heard you, and you allowed your space to be heard. You know who it is that you are, you know what you believe in. Of course, that night you're in bed and you're kind of like rehearsing the entire conversation around, oh, why didn't I say this? And oh my gosh, did I accidentally embellish that study? And like you think of the perfect comeback to something that she said. Isn't that the worst when you have like an argument or a debate, and then that night you're like, oh, why didn't I say this? Or I could have said this, or what have you, right? But there's something healing around allowing our presence to be felt, allowing our voice to be heard. And that is the essence of the Chiron aspects this week, around how healing it can be, both for present us as well as past us, to stand our ground, to observe the ways that we cowered down, that we gave our power away, but choosing to move forward with courage and with confidence. And maybe you're not feeling this at a family reunion. Maybe this week you feel this when it relates to a conversation with an authority figure. Maybe you feel this as it relates to a dialogue with a customer. Typically conversations that you used to back down, but instead you allow yourself to speak because you feel sure about your perspective, about your beliefs. It's rational, it's sound, it's grounded, and you allow yourself to be heard and felt in a very respectful way. Because I know who I am, I know what I want, I know the path that I'm taking, and I'm not going to allow someone to tell me something otherwise. Even if past experiences, I would have bit my tongue, I would have just taken it, okay? And like we were talking about last week, Mercury squared Saturn last week. So there is permanence as it relates to our words. And like I said, with this week, with Mercury squared Neptune, we could be overthinking. Why didn't I say this? Or what if the conversation had been like this? Again, speak from the heart. That's the essence of Mercury sextiling Mars. Speak from integrity. Feel grounded in what it is that you are voicing. Be open to new perspectives. That's also an essence of Mercury and Gemini. Gemini is the twins. It sees both sides. So maybe you can learn. Maybe you can learn in this dialogue with Aunt Cynthia. Maybe there's pieces of why she's telling you this that you had not considered. Maybe there's an interesting study that she read that she can refer you to. Again, you're grounded in how it is that you feel, but now you see her side with a little bit more clarity. Again, sometimes when we bite our tongue and we don't kind of stick up for ourselves or voice how it is that we see, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn more about that person's perspective, if there's anything to learn there, as well as denying that person the opportunity to learn about our perspective. Maybe Aunt Cynthia didn't know that article that you referenced, that single unmarried women are the happiest population. Maybe she wasn't aware of that. Again, when we kind of just stay silent, bite our tongue, we deny ourselves as well as that person the opportunity to learn. And the other downside about biting our tongue is that our silence can be mistaken for a lot of things. Sometimes our silence can be mistaken for compliance. Sometimes our silence can be mistaken as agreement. Sometimes our silence can be mistaken as consent. Sometimes it is important to voice how it is that you feel so that your silence is not masked by other people's projections. Maybe Cynthia literally thought every year when you're like, I'll think about it, she's like, okay, she'll think about it. So I'll ask her next family reunion what she thought about. But you said, no, I thought about it. I've researched it. Sometimes we just need to allow our perspective to be heard. Again, hold your ground in a respectful but firm way. That's really the ask when it relates to this week. So we're going to go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. I want to let you know that all time zones I mention are PDT, so please adjust to your time zone if you are located somewhere else. There are timestamps below if you want to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day, reminisce. It is Cancer season, or about to be Cancer season after all. I also want to let you know there's some playback speeds that you can experiment with. There was some dialogue within the comments last week that 0.75 speed feels really good to a lot of people's nervous system, so feel free to adjust as see fit for you. Some people like to speed me up, some people like to slow me down. Feel free to take in the insight however aligns for you. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Monday, June 19th astrology. So good morning, happy Monday. So we have Jupiter in Taurus sextile Saturn in Pisces. Now this exacts on Monday, but I want to let you know these are two slow moving planets. So there influence of them making a harmonious aspect extends far beyond this week. It even extends into this entire month. And the opportunity embedded within the planet of growth with the planet of structure, making this harmonious aspect, is that we can really support sustainable growth. Okay, with these two together. Jupiter is where it is that we want to grow and to expand. And yes, with the sextile to Saturn, much of our blessings are coming in at a very slow rate after hard work, after delayed gratification. But nonetheless, there is this opportunity around if we are diligent, if we are intentional with our actions, we can really experience that growth that we are craving. So I want you to know when it comes to your blessings in the month of June 2023's astrology, they could be taking place at a slower rate, but there's also this opportunity to really build a solid foundation, whatever it is that you're trying to grow within your world, your relationships, your finances, your home. There's really this energy around, okay, here is the vision, here's the mountaintop we are trying to climb to. How am I going to get there? How am I going to break that down, reverse engineer the steps, and make it happen slowly and steadily towards that vision of what it is that I am moving towards? And with this energy of Saturn is asking you to dial to your foundations. Dial into your structures, dial into your discipline. Are your current habits contributing to that vision, right? Are you working slowly and steadily at it? Are you being intentional with your efforts towards it? Do keep in mind, Saturn does station retrograde, okay? So there is a review in these aspects. Like, if you keep doing what it is that you're doing, will you get what it is that you want to get? Is there a sensation of growth within your life? Does your current structures support the growth that you are craving? And how, if the answer is no, how can you invite in subtle, small ways to make growth part of your day-to-day, what it is that you're building, what it is that you have discipline around? Again, with this aspect, it's not saying that it's going to be overnight. Saturn's never overnight, okay? But the opportunity is that we can grow if we're willing to commit. Like, that's the energy. If we're willing to have discipline in order to get to the vision, to the growth that we want, there is an energy where we're able to move forward towards it. If we could be patient, if we could be intentional, if we could be disciplined, there is this energy of moving forward. And I want to let you know, in relation to the vibe check, Jupiter, in addition to growth, it also has to do with our beliefs, it has to do with our morals. So with the energy of the sextile to Saturn, there's like a clarity around what it is that we believe in, which is what showed up in the vibe check. It's like, no, I really feel strongly about this, so I'm going to, voice it, because there's a strength there. Like, maybe before you weren't entirely sure, so you didn't want to engage within the discourse, but there's this energy around, I feel strongly about this. My beliefs are sound. My spiritual beliefs are sound. My studying is sound. There's just this energy around knowing what it is that we believe, and there's a groundedness there, okay? Because I've talked about this a bit, but with Saturn and Pisces, Pisces is spirituality, and with Saturn, there is an ask to really be living it out. Like, it's less like airy-fairy, it's more like grounded. Like, what is it that we truly believe? Getting to the roots of our spiritual practices, of our spiritual discipline, is like a key part of this transit. And just a heads up, I do have a video that dives into what is being brought up for your sign based on the Saturn and Pisces transit. But there's just this energy around, no, I know what I believe. I know who I am. I know my values. I know my morals. And there's a groundedness there. Because again, when you know who you are, nobody can with you, okay? This week is such an interesting blend. It's like soft, but it's strong, because do not let people tell you that those are two different things or that they are mutually exclusive, okay? Let's take the sign Cancer, for example. Like, with the sun ingressing into Cancer on Wednesday, like, Cancer is the crab, right? They have a tough exoskeleton to protect their sensitive inner body. Like, there's just an energy around feeling grounded in the person that we are, the beliefs that we have, the direction that we are moving into, and feeling very grounded within it. Because again, this is really helpful, because the downside of Jupiter is that Jupiter is very exuberant, okay? It can be very all over the place. With the energy of Saturn, it's like, let's ground it. If you want that vision, let's make sure we're working towards it every single day. If this is what you believe in, how often are you studying? Like, it's just this energy around really wanting us to commit to that growth that we are seeking, as well as what it is that we believe in, what it is that we have faith in. And going into debate on something you don't feel certain about, you're going to approach it a little bit differently than if you are really sure of your beliefs. So technically that exacts Monday morning at 8:53 a.m., but I do want you to know that energy extends far beyond June 2023. 2023. Spirit of this aspect is really around taking your dreams, taking your vision, and break it down into little steps, and then commit to those steps. Okay, it can feel overwhelming for like, how am I going to do all this, or how am I going to achieve this? Break it down, little steps, little milestones. Celebrate yourself as you go. Like, it just very much makes me think of when you're at the bottom of a mountain that you're going to hike, and like looking at the top, you're like, how am I going to get up there? But again, if you just focus on this step and this step and this step, taking moments to look down and be like, wow, I've come so far, while still committing to getting to the top, like that is where success lies. We have this unique opportunity where we are really able to make consistent strides towards our goals, okay, towards our visions, towards wherever it is that we are craving growth. But we need to commit. That's the energy of Saturn. We need to start, we need to commit, we need to reverse engineer. How do I get to the top? Okay, I need to take this step. Then I need to take that path, and then I need to get there. And then committing to that path. If you're somebody where you get really like overwhelmed when you think about the big picture and how am I going to do that, break it down into little steps. Okay, the cosmos are really supporting you around really being able to make small but significant strides towards your goals, towards your growth. So some journal prompts that I would offer in spirit of this aspect are, how are my actions now getting me towards where it is that I want to go? How are my habits now getting me to where it is that I want to go? What are some structures that I need to get in place in order to find that vitality, that growth, that love that I am looking for? And how am I committing to myself, not just my present self, but my future self? What am I doing now that future me is so happy that I am doing? Those are some journal prompts that I would encourage. So also on Monday, Venus enters its pre-retrograde shadow. So I'm just letting you guys know, okay? You know, you could hear from some people. You could hear from some people. For some of us, it will be money from the past coming back. For some of us, it'll be bills from the past coming back. For some of us, it'll be a financial opportunity from the past coming back. For some of us, it'll be friends from the past, hearing from them. Bosses from the past, hearing from them. Maybe even family members that we haven't talked to in a while, hearing from them. But overall, we're entering terrain where the themes of what our Venus retrograde story will be are beginning to be hinted from the cosmos. So be aware, okay? Be aware, because you're getting foreshadows. You're getting little clues. If a random bill comes in the mail from something 3 years ago, you know, that could be something that you will be battling and fighting during the Venus retrograde. If you hear from somebody who's like, hey, I'm gonna be in your city, that might be something that you are going to review during Venus retrograde. With Venus retrograde, it's never me saying, oh, if a friend comes back, jump back into a friendship with that person. If a boss in the past hits you up and wants to re-employ you, jump back into that situation. If an ex comes back and wants to be with you again, jump back into it. That's never what I advise. Like, really with Venus retrograde, whenever we talk about retrogrades, it's a review. It's reviewing. So if somebody does come back, if something does come back, come inward and reflect, what is it that this is revealing to me, about my journey? Like, what have I not healed from within this connection that I'm getting an opportunity to find some closure around? What have I not healed from the version of myself that was attached to this friendship, of this friend who's like randomly hitting me up after we had a horrible falling out, or what have you? Take that moment for reflection, okay? That's what retrograde's all about. Reflect, recalibrate, review. It's not saying redo the same mistakes within that connection, okay? That's what it's not saying with the re's. So all I'm saying is, from this point onward, be cautious around any sort of brand new Venus decision you want to make. So if you want to dye your hair a brand new color that you've never tried before, I would perhaps hold off. If you want to make a brand new financial investment, open a new bank account, I would perhaps hold off. If you want to make a huge relationship decision, I would hold off. Then if somebody from your past pops up that is not the cosmos saying, go be with this person, you're meant to be with this person, take that moment, reflect. What did this person illuminate to me about me? How was I inspired by this person? What within me needs to be healed from this connection? What version of myself is attached to this person? Because that's what's so interesting about people from the past coming back, and what's going to be really intriguing about this Venus retrograde in Leo is that Leo is ruled by the sun, the luminary of ego and identity. And the thing is that sometimes when people from the past come back, they only know us as a prior version of us, and we might no longer recognize that version. So it's always so interesting when you do reconnect with someone from your past. Do you feel the urge to regress into that version of yourself that you were when they were connected to you? Or can you hold your own within this new dynamic of who it is that you are and the certainty that you have within your morals and your faith, you know, all the energy embodied within Jupiter sextile Saturn? This has already started, guys, and I'm like debating even talking about this because I'm nervous. Like, okay, how I go into filming these videos is I just picture myself talking to you guys, like my fellow astrology enthusiasts, like the Magic Monday peeps, Monday magicians. Like, I just picture all of us cosmically chit-chatting at the beginning of every week, drinking coffee, drinking poppy, whatever the beverage of the week is, just gabbing about the cosmos. That's how I go into these readings. And then every so often I'm reminded that this is absolutely on the World Wide Web for just about anybody to locate if they wanted to. And I was reminded of this the other day because I got a Venmo request for $50 from my ex, and it said something like commission for being talked about in your little YouTube video or something so condescending. Let me actually grab my phone so I can read it verbatim. Okay, here we go. Royalties for talking about me on your YouTube channel. YouTube channel is in quotes, which is confusing. The quotes, I don't understand what's being implied there because, sir, this is a YouTube channel. Actually, this is being posted on youtube.com. And part of me debated even talking about this because that's the thing about Venus retrograde in Leo is that sometimes people come back because they want some of your energy. They want some of your like life force energy. I'm sure part of him loved being talked about in that video. And part of him loves that he's being talked about right now. Like, again, sometimes people don't want you, they just want your energy. They just want your attention. And they can't discern good attention or bad attention. That did happen before the shadow, so I'm really hoping that it's not a foreshadow to my Venus retrograde story because I do not want to deal with that. But what I will say is that there's aspects of this sort of incorporated within this week's vibe check because there would have been times that I would have probably paid the Venmo request. Thankfully on Venmo, it doesn't automatically deduct from your account. You have to hit confirm. So I've not confirmed. Okay, there would have been times that I would have confirmed and like, you know, commented, unblocked him, been like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I should not have talked about you, even though I don't think I said any discernible details about you besides how you treated me. I have to revisit that video, but I don't think I said one thing about you. So the fact that all I said was how horribly I was treated, and you were like, me? Literally me. I deserve royalties for this. But I'm not gonna pay you royalties because it is my story to tell and I did not identify you whatsoever. So anyways, there would have been versions of myself that I would have paid the request. There would have been versions of myself that I would have probably apologized. There would have been versions of myself where I would have felt intimidated from ever talking about him or anything else from my personal life. I would have like cowered, be like, okay. Worst case scenario, there would have been versions of myself that would have just gotten right back into his trap, right back into his game. But that version of me who would have done that no longer exists. You are no longer connected to this version of me. You are connected to a past version of me that no longer exists. And like I was saying with this energy of Jupiter sextile Saturn, there's this solidity. Like, I know who I am. I know what it is that I believe. I know the direction that I am going. And this dynamic from my past has no bearing on the direction that I'm going for my future. So all I'm saying is, whether it's Venmo, whether it's DMs, whether it's in your dreams, whether it's at a party, all I'm saying is moving into this week and beyond, there can be people who come back from the past, who want your attention, who are connected to a past iteration of you. And again, you can revisit that connection, what it taught you, because I highlighted in that video, I'm so grateful for that entire experience. Like, it made me the person that I am. So I actually do have a lot of gratitude. Like, I literally have no hatred in my heart for that particular scenario. But again, it's like, it's just a part of my past and you just got to keep moving into the future. And again, people can try to like yank you back to who you were when you were with them, okay? You can revisit that version. You can be nostalgic. You can chat about the good old times or what have you, but the direction of life is moving forward. So it's like, as people from your past pop up, really ask, is the only thing we have in common is our shared history? Is the only thing that we have in common our memories together? Or can we evolve and get to know each other as we are now? So in terms of moon aspects on Monday, Monday is moon day, so the moon is of enhanced importance, of course, and it's in a moon ruled sign, Cancer, so deep in the feels. And we can be feeling a little bit more deep in the feels, you know, with this energy of Cancer. It enhances emotions of all kinds. So feeling our happies more intensely, feeling our sads more intensely, feeling our nostalgia more intensely. Just think of your emotional, you know, antenna, your emotional little dial. Just think of it turned up. And with the Cancer moon squaring Chiron midday, there can be a little bit of an ouch. Again, even though those prior versions of you no longer exist, at that family function, typically you would cower, right? Typically I would, in games like this or correspondences like this, typically I would have behaved differently. And again, present me isn't scared, isn't backing down, isn't in my head about it. It is what it is. But sometimes there can be a pang just from past you. Like again, even just being reminded of it, like Aunt Cynthia coming up and just being reminded of all of the times that you left family reunions feeling so sad. Like again, sometimes thoughts and emotions aren't our own. Like sometimes they literally belong to a past version of us. Like just that little hit of a nostalgia when you like revisit something from the past or think about an ex from the past or a friend from the past. You're like, oh, we really did have fun together. But then you're like, but I actually don't want that person in my life at all. Like again, there could be that little moment of like, oh, but then again, you got to be like, but we're moving forward to the future. And that's even sort of mirrored within the astrology, because then the Cancer moon sextiles Uranus. So you can have a moment around, oh, that was a fun time in my life, or oh, that did kind of hurt, or like, oh, that did kind of hurt, when Aunt Cynthia would constantly ask me that. Like, oh, that does kind of hurt to know that there's people from my past watching my YouTube channel, which just makes me so uncomfortable. Like again, it's like a little bit of a sting, but you can't let it keep you stuck, right? You can't, like, life does not go backwards. You cannot allow it to make you withdraw into your shell. You gotta just keep moving forward. Things can hurt, they can sting, but we gotta keep it moving. So all I'll say about Monday, expect a lot of emotions, okay? There can be new opportunities for self-care just with the Cancer moon sextile Uranus. So looking for whether it's like a new yoga class that you can take or a new bath ritual or just something that you can do to nourish yourself in a new way, I would say. I will let you know we are technically still in the new moon phase. So make sure to check out the Gemini new moon video. If you did not celebrate, you still have time to today. I also want to highlight that Monday is June 19th, also known as JUNETEENTH. So I've linked a resource within the description where you can learn more about JUNETEENTH, as well as some ways that you can celebrate, donating to important causes, as well as supporting Black businesses, things of that nature. I deeply recommend taking some time to commemorate the holiday and what it is all about. And like I've been talking about in this vibe check, sometimes our silence on certain things can be mistaken as compliance or agreement or complacency or what have you. So I just want to take this opportunity to voice where it is that I stand and just say that me, Haley, the human, as well as my business, Haley Comet Astrology, I will continually strive to make myself as well as my business as anti-racist as possible. That is one of my most important aims in everything that I do, and the way that I communicate about astrology, the way that I moderate my community. I will continually and always strive to make this environment, this community, as anti-racist as possible, to ensure every single soul feels genuinely welcomed and seen here. And of course, in the spirit of Gemini season wrapping up, I'm always learning, and I do welcome any feedback or any criticism. If there is anything that you observe within my vernacular, within just the way I communicate about things, I am always open, I am always learning, but I want you to know the fundamental foundation of who I am as a person, as well as how I run my company, is to ensure that it is as anti-racist as possible, and I'm continually doing that work and learning. So I just want to make that clear. It's not something that I want to stay silent on. I do not want any confusion around this. This is where I stand. This is what's important to me. So on Tuesday, June 20th, so the day starts off with the moon in Cancer, trining Neptune in Pisces, which can lead to some romanticizing and idealizing the past, like we talked about pretty recently with Venus and Cancer trining Neptune a couple weeks back. Sometimes revisiting the past or those past experiences, there's that feeling of familiarity, sometimes it can be deeply inspiring. Maybe you're contemplating and reminiscing about a particular time in your life in order to create art about it, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're reflecting on it and reflecting on how far you've come. That's a beautiful facet. It's a beautiful kind of guidepost to see how far you've come. But just being mindful around where you are idealizing versions of yourself that you are no longer. Like again, you can enroll back into that high school, you can jump back into that relationship, you can restart that friendship, but it's a new version of you. And sometimes when we idealize, we're missing that simplicity or that familiarity of that particular iteration of our life. But oftentimes, if we were to literally go back, if we were to literally reconnect with that person, go back in that school, whatever, there would be aspects of it that just feel different. It's never going to be quite the Neptunian fantasy that we had our eye on. So just being conscious of that, you could find, just to like a mundane level, you can find that you are daydreaming a little bit more, you can find that you are fantasizing a little bit more, or anything of that nature. And again, a little fantasy, little daydreaming, that'll definitely build towards the end of the week as well. Nothing wrong with it. Find ways to make your daily life as magical as possible, whether it's just little things, lighting a candle as you get ready for work, making a lovely breakfast, and being really present as you make it, going for a walk, even though you know you should go to-dos, finding ways that you can infuse a little inspiration to remind yourself that this day, it might be a Tuesday that started like any other, but there are aspects of it that are shifting and evolving, and this will be a time in your life, an era in your life that you reminisce on, like in the future, like a time that you are maybe inspired by, or that you reflect on, wow, I've come so far. So again, be present for the magic that is happening right now. Like you might miss aspects of your past, but future you misses aspects of you right now, so be present for them. I will say the Cancer moon will oppose Pluto in Capricorn. So with the Cancer moon, I always joke about Cancer energy. I'm like, they're not moody, they're responsive, okay? Cancer responds. They respond to energetic and emotional data that most of us are not privy to, or at least we don't observe. Like the very nature of Cancer, it's ruled by the moon reflects the light of the sun, right? Like Cancer energy cannot help but to reflect and to respond to what's around it. So yes, it does lead to some fluctuations within our emotions. Be cautious of where you are blowing something out of proportion on Tuesday, okay? One little thing that impacts your emotional level that all of a sudden you feel like your life is totally out of control and you're a failure. Like again, be conscious of that. So with the energy of Pluto, this is obsession. So there can be one small thing that we responded to, right? A Venmo request that we got, or something that we saw that kind of yanks us into this intense place emotionally. And perhaps even we're taking some emotions out of context. Of course, embrace the whole of your emotions. That'll be important with Cancer season. But look to Mercury and Gemini. Strive to make sense of it around. Okay, that was just one little feedback from my coworker. That was just one little Venmo request from somebody who does not know me. Maintain perspective. If you're having a hard time maintaining perspective, look towards Mercury and Gemini. Maybe make a list. Sometimes it's helpful for me. Like sometimes I'll feel an emotion come in really strong and I don't always remember what prompted it. I just like all of a sudden feel really bad or feel really sad or what have you. And sometimes it's helpful for me to like go back and be like, okay, what was the trigger? Like what made me feel this way? And sometimes just even understanding around what created the temperature change within your emotions helps you to gain perspective around, okay, that did kind of hurt, but I'm not going to allow it to infect the rest of my day, right? And then the moon enters Leo at 3:04. So the moon will be technically void from 2:43 to 3:04 p.m. PDT. Do know that it is argued and debated whether or not the moon can truly go void and assign that it rules. So totally up to you. But in my perspective, I wouldn't do anything deeply important during that time beyond just nurture yourself. Try to understand why these intense emotions are coming out and maintain perspective around okay, where did this come from? What am I going to do about it? So your only homework assignment is maybe nurture yourself within that 15 minutes. And then with the moon entering Leo, we should be feeling a little bit more confident, remembering who it is that we are. Like maybe we had our little cry in the office bathroom, or we had our little moment of being like, oh my gosh, what is up with this Venmo request? But again, with the energy of moon and Leo, it's like, I'm not going going to allow this to pull me down. I'm going to remember who it is that I am and keep it moving. And it's so funny because if you watch Magic Monday, you guys know that like sometimes things that happen while I'm recording Magic Monday are kind of like baked into the astrology for Tuesday. Like if you read tarot, if you do any sort of spiritual work, you know that sometimes the 3D world can have messages that you're meant to relay. And it's so funny because there's this emotional energy on Tuesday, especially blowing things out of proportion. We feel more raw, we feel more sensitive with the Cancer moon trining Neptune, and we can be blowing an emotion out of proportion, right? And that energy was totally integrated into me filming Tuesday because, okay, so I grabbed my phone to read the Venmo request verbatim. So it's here, it's typically not, okay? And I made the mistake in between takes. I checked my comments and I happened to read one that made me pretty upset. And so I had to take a little pause. A little cry pause. So I'm sorry if my makeup is messed up before I was able to come back, which, you know, sometimes we need a cry pause. And honestly, within Tuesday's astrology, within that 15-minute, you know, void moon might be a great time to like cry at a bathroom stall at work, or take a moment to shed a tear while your kids are playing on the slide or whatever. Like sometimes you just need those moments to feel what's coming up. And again, there's like parts of Tuesday where we could just be feeling a little bit more raw and a little bit more vulnerable, which is absolutely how I feel right now, which is why I think it got to me. And I think with Venus and Mars in Leo, we've been talking a lot about confidence. And the thing about confidence is that it does oscillate, right? And this idea of oscillation is going to be important as the sun ingresses into Cancer the following day. So allowing that energy of confidence to oscillate, like you can kind of go in between feeling like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who it is that I am, and the glow that I radiate, to the next moment being like, oh my gosh, what if I am what this person says I am? Like, what if what it is that they're saying is true, right? What if I need to mold who I am in accordance to how they think I should be, right? Sometimes confidence oscillates like that, and just being present with yourself as it relates to those oscillations of wherever you experience oscillations, whether it's in your confidence, in your courage, in your energy, that's going to be really important as we navigate Cancer season. Embracing both sides of the spectrum and what it is that they are, you know, trying to teach you, and continually, you know, coming inward to check in. Okay, where's my heart? Where's my glow? What lights me up? And I typically don't get too upset about comments. I've done like a lot of work. I've done a lot of work around that. Just there are times in your life that you're feeling a little bit more raw and vulnerable just based on what it is that you're moving through. And I think Cancer season is a great reminder as well to, you know, crabs have their exoskeleton. Like sometimes you have to retreat into what is sacred to you and what makes you feel nourished and who it is that you are in those times that you are feeling more raw. Like sometimes boundaries, like for me, you know, not reading comments as much or what have you, is helpful when there are times that you are feeling a little bit more sensitive rather than others. So let's go ahead and take it into Wednesday, June 21st. So on Wednesday, June 21st, so it is summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, and the beginning of Cancer season for all of us. So I just want to take a moment to say happy birthday to all of our lovely crustaceans. We adore you, Cancers, for your heart, truly, for your compassionate nature, the way that you pour your love into pets and plants and children, and the way that you just leave every environment better than how you found it, the way that you infuse every person that you encounter with a little bit more love, a little bit more compassion. We adore you for your intuition. We adore you for your receptivity. We adore you for your softness. We simply adore you, crabs. So I hope you all enjoy your season. And for all of us, I've been spotlighting some of the themes, but I want to let you know that with the sun now answering to the moon, expect every time the moon shifts, the vibe shifts, okay? And with the energy of Cancer, it's just important to embrace the emotions as they come up. What are the emotions trying to tell you? What are they signaling to you? It can be a call to want to retreat to your comfort zone, to the people and the environments that make you feel safe, that make you feel at ease. Maybe there's a call to want to decorate or make your environment more enjoyable. Maybe there's a call to do some, you know, summer cleaning, winter cleaning, or something of that nature. Pour some nurturing into your home. Like truly, your home is a reflection of your spirit. So if you're feeling stuck or stagnant, like I deeply recommend deep clean, get rid of some stuff. Again, our home is a reflection of so many different aspects of ourself. And you know, if you are a business owner, it is so funny. If I ever feel like orders answers are slow or like inquiries are slow or anything of that nature, all I have to do is deep clean my office. And I swear, I go to sleep and I wake up to a ton more orders. Like I'm telling you, you need to like free up energy within your physical environment on whichever space. I'm pretty sure, so a client was chatting with me about this. So office obviously is related to business. I think bathroom was related to finances. So deep cleaning your bathroom if you're noticing a blockage in abundance towards you, I think because there's water. Kitchen, if there's a block that you're feeling in health. Bedroom, if there's a block in love. And living room if you feel there's a block socially. Again, I could be butchering that, but I love that concept because truly I do think our home can be a reflection of our soul, right? And you really want a space in which you feel at ease, like you feel like you can be your most authentic, resonant self. A place that you feel like you can genuinely unwind and find that sensation of ease, right? Because again, that helps you go out and get what it is that you want or debate or conquer the battles of the day if you feel like you can generally unwind and nourish your spirit, give your spirit what it is that you need within your home environment, right? Like it might be easier to stand up to Aunt Cynthia if you know at the end of the day you can just go home, put on Netflix, have a little blanket and be like, whew, okay, that was a lot. Again, having a supportive home environment enables us to go out with more gusto and more courage because we know we have this environment that will take care of us as we return home to it. So all I'm saying is let Cancer season be the cue to pour some love into your physical environment, okay? Get rid of some stuff, deep clean some stuff. There is a strong connection there and Cancer season really celebrates that. And in addition to the sun ingressing into Cancer, we also have Mercury and Gemini sextiling Chiron and sextiling Mars because again, Mars and Chiron are building to trine one another themselves. And with Mercury sextile Chiron, this is words that heal. Right? Like last week with Mercury square Saturn, it was like words that wound, like words that leave ouch, right? And with Mercury sextile Chiron, there can be something healing involved within our language on Wednesday. This can be like in the example of the vibe check, being able to assert ourselves or speak our truth in a way that feels healing. Because again, there would have been past versions of us that would have bit our tongue, and that is growth, right? Being sure of the person that you are, so much so that you are able to voice what is important to you or who it is that you are or your raw, authentic truth that's embedded with Chiron and Aries. Other opportunities for this, because again, sextile is an opportunity aspect. So I want you to know the cosmos are giving you this opportunity. You needn't take it if you don't want to, but I would deeply recommend with Mercury sextile Chiron, there can be something healing about words, whether it's processing the emotions that are coming up, utilizing language, journaling about what came up, voice memoing, or like I shared in yesterday, like processing, okay, what happened? Why did this bring up emotions? And how can we move forward? Is this a big deal in the grand scheme of things? How can we move forward? There can be something helpful because again, with the sun now in Cancer, we can feel like emotions are swirling and intense and they can be overpowering at times. So allowing your mental space to kind of help you in that healing journey around what is coming up. And it can be really lovely when it comes to Mercury sextile Chiron to be able to have a conversation with somebody. I will say that on Wednesday with Mercury sextile Chiron and Mercury sextile Mars, if there is something that you kind of need to stand up for yourself around, a boundary that needs to be made clear, and maybe there's elements of guilt because you're like, oh, I used to allow this and now I no longer do, so I feel awkward saying that I no longer allow it. Again, you might not still be the past version of you that allowed this, right? And you need to use your voice in order to inform what future you wants to withstand. So again, whether this is debating somebody at the family function or just saying to a boss or authority figure, I'm not comfortable taking on so-and-so's work. Maybe this is saying to a partner around, I know I used to be okay with that pet name, but not any longer. We're feeling more feisty as it relates to our voice. We're able to really speak up about what we want, around what we think, on the perspective that we have. And there's a little bit of spiciness there with Mars and Leo, right? Maybe this is something that we used to cower down, we used to back down, but there's an energy around no longer. You are going to hear me roar, right? You are going to hear my perspective on this. You definitely could be pulled into some feisty dialogues on Wednesday, whether it's like on social media, you know, something comes up on Reddit that you don't necessarily agree with and you want to like fight back, or something in the break room at work. Like there can be a little little bit of sharpness within our language. And again, use it with care. When it comes to asserting something that's important to your heart space, there is an ability to use our words to advocate, to assert. If anybody needs to plan a interview, Mercury sextile Mars is great. There's an ability to be able to chat through your accomplishments in a very logical, rational way. So that is my advice for that. And I want to let you know there can be a motivating quality within our language. So this energy is giving me pep talk. So maybe you need to give yourself a pep talk, okay? If you know you read a bad comment about yourself, maybe you have to sit there and be like, you've got this, you can film this video. I mean, I literally had to do this like 20 minutes ago, like, okay, you've got this. You're gonna film the video and it's gonna be great and it's okay in the grand scheme of things. So whether you are in need of a pep talk or maybe someone that you love, someone that you hold dear, you need to give them a pep talk so that they can remember their radiance, so that they can remember their light, so that they can feel comfortable being the person that they are. Like, there's something around words, whether we process it for ourselves or give it towards others, that is a bit healing. Even if you're not going through it, it's a great day to have a pep talk, to listen to motivating language. Like, that is the ask with Mercury and Gemini, is to be able to infuse our minds and our thought processes with inspiring intel, inspiring information that can be impactful for our journey forwards. So whether it's like a motivational speaker or reading a good book or something, it would be helpful to give your brain some stimuli that'll allow you to move forward with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more certainty in yourself and your glow, because you shine so bright. And I will also let you know that on Wednesday, the Leo moon does square off with Jupiter and Taurus in the morning time, and then it conjoins Venus in the evening time. So I will say Wednesday night is my pick for date night. I don't know if you'll make it outside of the house because now the sun's in Cancer, and Cancer is a very homebody essence, but definitely a great time to cook a nice dinner, enjoy one another's presence, like with this energy of the Leo moon meeting up with Venus that evening. Have you ever seen like lions playing? Like, this is what being a Leo is about. Like, again, lions can be fierce and strong, but at the end of the day, they're cuddly cats that just want to love on you and play with you and take you out places and things of the nature. So we're all tapping into our inner lion. We're in the mood to cuddle and love and be a little extra as it relates to PDA. I mean, you know, jury's out on whether or not you actually make it out of the house, because sometimes with Cancer season, we could be more inclined to want to stay home. Like I said, big connection to home, but there's definitely a romantic essence. All I'll say is that with the Leo moon squaring Jupiter in Taurus, as it relates to work and really anything in relation to Wednesday, there can be a tendency to overdo. You can overestimate how long things take. You could be talking a big game with Mercury sextile Mars, like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can handle that. And with moon squared Jupiter, just be like, I'll do it later. Like, it's all good. Like, it's definitely a very social essence. We can just be feeling good, but you're not necessarily seeing things very realistically. And with the moon building to meet up with Venus, you're more motivated by pleasure. I just wouldn't imagine it to be the most motivating day to actually do the work. Like with Mercury sextile Mars, there's a lot of talk about, I'm gonna do this. There's a lot of mental dialogue. It's like giving an energy of, you know, like those work days where you have to go to a lot of meetings and it's like you're in so many meetings that you can't actually do the work. There's all this mental, intellectual activity, but then it's like, how am I meant to do all these things that we're having all the meetings around? That's the energy of Wednesday. Not the most productive, but definitely a lot of mental energy, a lot of intellectual energy. And with the moon meeting up with Venus, we're wanting to enjoy, we're wanting to look cute, we're wanting to pour into love and romance. Money could be top of mind, or wanting to spend our money on things that we can use to flaunt and show off with the energy of Leo. On Thursday, the 22nd, so the day starts with the Leo moon conjoining Mars, and you guys know I love a moon Mars election for working out. So Thursday would be the day if you are a morning worker outer, because that exacts at 5:41 a.m. PDT. So great day to get up and get after it, move your body, okay? Feel confident. Like again, with the energy of Cancer Sun, it's almost like our emotions are a kaleidoscope. They're constantly shifting and evolving, and you just need to be conscious around doing things that do support you. If you know exercise, something super valuable for your self-care, I would really allot it on Thursday. Listening to really confident, empowered, sassy music, even if you're not feeling it, as a way to hype yourself up, right? If you know you need to go into that big meeting, if you know you need to finish recording your YouTube video or what have you. Again, that won't be working out for everybody, but I will say with Moon Mars, great time to release steam of all sorts, okay? And I'll also say with the energy of Moon Mars, we can be a little bit more feisty, okay? Like I said, there's something feisty about this word. Like if someone tries us, we're more inclined to want to fight back. Now, like I said, Sometimes our silence can be mistaken as compliance or agreement, but then again, not everybody always necessarily deserves a response. So I'm not saying you need to mouth off at everything that comes your way. All I'm saying, if there is something important to your heart, if there is something important to your belief systems, use your voice to assert. But not everybody, cough, cough, the Venmo request guy, not everybody deserves a response, okay? And sometimes, someone might have cut you off on the way to work, or your coworker does something annoying, you're frustrated and on edge. It's not me saying you need to mouth off to just about everybody. And I would just say, with Moon Mars in the morning, important to have something that you can funnel that energy into, a workout or a project or something that you can kind of like channel any aggression that could come up. It could just come through as energy, just something to be mindful of Thursday morning. And the Leo moon kind of is in cahoots with the Mercury Chiron connection. It trines Chiron, sextiles Mercury. So again, there can be something healing and letting people know who it is that we are, right? Allowing our roar to be heard in a respectful way, right? Because sometimes people are connected to a past version of ourselves that would have let this slide. But the thing is, the past version of you is not going to be the forever version of you, right? Sometimes you need to let people know who it is that you are, what it is that you will permit, and what it is that you will not permit. And there's something very healing and very powerful about that, okay? That will not be a message for everybody, but I do feel some people are setting some boundaries this week, or they're letting people know, you cannot talk to me like that. No, you cannot slide to my Venmo. No, you cannot tell me every family reunion that I am going to regret it if I don't have children. Like, sometimes you need to let people know how they can treat you, okay? Because like I said, silence can indicate compliance. So sometimes people just test you to see how much they can get away with you. And it's up to you to say, hey, I actually don't appreciate that tone of voice. I don't appreciate that thing. You tell people how to treat you, okay? And that's not me saying if you were treated poorly that is your fault. All I'm saying as it relates to your connections now, be very vocal about what it is that you will permit and what it is that you will not permit. Do watch for emotional blow-ups because the Leo moon does square Uranus. So again, keep perspective. Mars in Leo trines Chiron on the same day. So again, check in with your heart. How important is it to assert this particular boundary? How important is it to stand up for this cause? Because I do want to let you know, yes, it could be personal battles that you are fighting, but a huge part of Leo energy is it's a leadership energy, right? And a true leader fights for its, fellow lions or what have you. Like, this could be energy around wanting to advocate for people who are disenfranchised, right? Being able to use your strength to advocate, because that's the essence of Chiron. Chiron is anything within our journey, within others' journeys, of where it is that we have felt inadequate, of where we have not felt like we have belonged. And there's this powerful energy around, yes, there would have been times at that family function that you would have felt so insecure, been like, why am I not like this? Why don't I just pop out babies to appease this particular family dynamic that thinks I really should have some? And part of Mars trine Chiron is realizing the strength that comes from you being authentically yourself. Okay? There is strength within that. Everything that you have perceived as a weakness or something that is wrong with you is something that can be alchemized into a personal source of strength, into a personal source of power. It is something that makes you, you. I don't want to bust out the comment because it's silly. It can be hard when, oh my God. And I'm so sorry, I swear I will finish the point, but a butterfly just fluttered right by my window. Hung there for a second, like he was just fluttering right here. And I don't know, it was just so beautiful and just made me feel really supported in that moment, because I was just gonna share, with all this Chiron energy within the cosmos, there can be certain parts to our journey where we have felt very weak and inadequate. And so when other people sort of intentionally or unintentionally say things that kind of trigger that part of us, it can make us want to hide, right? It's Cancer season, retreat back into our shell. But there's something so healing about being able to transmute everything that made us feel like we were weird or made us feel like we were different and that we should hide into a source of strength and continue to keep showing up. That comment that I was going to start talking about, then the butterfly came, which I don't know, it just felt like a nice little sign, but it was a comment, again, not a big a deal. I do welcome discourse. I'm not saying everybody needs to be nice to me. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes there are certain comments that are made that sort of pull at parts of my journey, and those are always the ones that are pretty raw, like when it's about me and not so much the astrology, and also just things that I've personally struggled with. And again, it's not other people's job to tiptoe around me and know about what bothers me. But there's something very powerful to be able to be revisited with that. And again, you guys saw me, I got pretty upset, but to be able to transmute it and continue to allow it to keep showing up, because it's something that I've been told my entire life. And it's something that I always felt, and I still feel sometimes, makes me very weird. With Chiron, it's like where it is that's just like a ouch, like where it is that we feel insecure, where it is that we have felt different than other people, where we have not had a sense of belonging. And when other people point that out, right, like we don't feel like we belong at the family function because we're the only ones who don't have children, or this part of myself that this person commented on has been something that has made me feel very weird. Made me feel very weird. And there's something powerful around being able to alchemize that and turn it into a source of strength. So like imagine at that family function, if one of your cousins comes up to you and is like, hey, I really admire how you held your space in front of Aunt Cynthia. You know, she always harps on me about this aspect of my life, and it really inspired me seeing you stand up for yourself. Like you never know who you're motivating. You never know who you're inspiring. And there can be aspects of you that do feel different. And rather than hiding and cowering, it's powerful to keep showing up. Okay, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's like, ouch, why can't I be like this person? Ouch, why am I like this? Why have I been told this my entire life and I'm still being told this now, and it still bothers me so much because this is just how I am. I cannot change it. But I've also heard from people that the attributes that I'm talking about right now of myself and how I show up in this way, that it's been healing for them to witness, like somebody be very weird and awkward, kind of like show up. And again, there is something triggering about Chiron aspects, but don't allow it to keep you hidden or to make you cower. Know that it's part of your strength, okay? It's part of your story. It's part of your unique attributes. It's part of your nuances. It can hurt for a moment. You might need a second to pause the video to cry, but you have to continue showing up with your head held high, your mane held back with Mars and Leo. And on the 22nd, I want to let you know I would strive to get a lot of your important work done before 10:01 a.m. as the moon is void for the rest of the day, closing aspect square to Uranus. So it could be hard to stay focused, can be feeling very restless, perhaps even emotionally volatile. And it doesn't enter Virgo, essentially ending the void until the following day, June 23rd. So not the most productive day, I'll say, but definitely a powerful one to continue to show up, flaws and all, intricacies and all, weirdness and all. So on Friday, June 23rd, so the moon enters Virgo at 3:35 a.m., which essentially breaks the void. So all I'm saying, Thursday, I would not plan too much important stuff. And with the moon entering Virgo, no worries, because now we are ready to get to work, okay? We are ready to handle the routines and little details. And I will say, Cancer Sun, Virgo Moon, when I was sharing about caring and nurturing your home environment, it was speaking to you. What a beautiful combination. Like I swear, I love cleaning. When the moon's in Virgo, it's like the best cleaning aspect. And with the Cancer Sun, we're wanting to nurture the home space, nurture our home environment. With the Virgo moon, we're wanting to do so by attuning to the details. So I will just say, great opportunity for that. But truly, we are now officially in the waxing crescent moon phase. So essentially, from the Gemini new moon that we had over the weekend, that's when we conceptualize, we envision, right? The dream, what it is that we want. We're not meant to take action on it until we have at least a sliver of the moon in the sky or showing. That's when it is that we're meant to essentially take actions in order to bring those manifestations into a reality. So all I want to say is that this week there is a lot of forward momentum. I would be cautious as it relates to Venusian affairs, so relationships and beauty and money. Like again, just it's not saying you can't do anything in those arenas. Just double check, okay? If you are getting your hair done, maybe go with the style that you've done prior that you know you like before randomly getting out of your relationship. Contemplate it. Has this been something that's on your spirit for a while? Before debuting this brand new financial opportunity, really do your due diligence. That's all I ask with this Venus pre-retrograde shadow. But other than that, there's a lot of forward momentum. We have a waxing crescent moon, right? Eyes towards the future. What is it that we are building? What is it that we're creating? And with Jupiter sextile Saturn, we are being able to grow our projects in a sustainable way, right? And so Friday is a great day to handle just about everything I will say with the Virgo moon, it's hardworking. There's a lot of attention to detail. I will say there can be a little bit of a bummer with the Virgo moon opposing Saturn at 6:07 p.m., but then it trines Jupiter in Taurus. Sometimes bummers are helpful. Sometimes bummers can clarify. Sometimes you have to deal with certain details. Sometimes you have to have certain conversations. That conversation with Aunt Cynthia isn't pleasant. Having to assert your boundaries here, having to debate on this topic, having to say to this person that they can't use that language around you. It's not always comfortable, but it needs to be said, right? It needs to be made clear. So if there is something that you know you need to face, whether it's like certain stats, whether it's a client at work or something in nature, Saturn energy can be helpful around, okay, let me just face it. Let me just face it. And honestly, with then the moon trining Jupiter, facing this will allow a feeling of lightness. It will allow a feeling of freedom. I won't have to go into the office tomorrow being like, oh, when am I going to talk to them? Like, what can you do that future you will be thankful for, right? What can you handle now that future you will not have to handle, or Monday you, if it's a work thing, that will not have to handle? Maybe for some of you, this is an energy around, oh, every time I look at this closet, it's so messy. How can you just deal with it straight up, straight away, cleaning out the closet, and that will lead to more vitality, that will lead to more lightness. That's the energy of the trine to Jupiter. You don't have to struggle to open the door any longer, right? Sometimes it's annoying to have to clean up, to have to face things, to have to do things that we don't want to do, but it'll support you in either feeling a sensation of relief, knowing it's off your plate, maybe literal space within your closet or within your home, or maybe just a feeling of lightness around, it's not like crushing you around, oh, I need to tell this person this isn't okay, or what have you. So on Friday, yes, there can be certain aspects of your workday or just your day that's like, blah, I don't want to do this. I committed to this new routine. I really want to go to happy hour with my friends, but I committed to myself that I'm going to go to the gym or what have you. Again, that discipline will be something that tomorrow you will be grateful for. And honestly, with the Virgo moon trining Jupiter in Taurus, maybe you can meet up for them for dinner after, or maybe you go home and just feel so at ease and so cozy, knowing you got a good workout in. Now you can chill and watch a movie. This is very much giving the energy around, deep cleaning your house, and how comforting it is at the end of the day when you deep clean and you light a candle and everything's where it should be, and there's just a sensation of lightness. Again, cleaning, having tough conversations, debating, like these aren't always comfortable experiences, but it leads to a sensation of lightness. And so all I'm saying is that Friday would be a great time to handle something that you've not been wanting to do. That's the Virgo moon opposite Saturn. There's a lot of discerning, disciplined energy around, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. And then reward yourself after. If you go to the workout, make your favorite meal. If you deep clean your house, light a candle and eat some froyo. Like there is an energy around facing what it is that we don't want to do, but feeling more light and more free because of it, and rewarding ourselves because of it. And honestly, with the Virgo moon trining Jupiter, would be great for sensual experiences, whether it's a sensual night at home, a nice dinner out as a reward. On Saturday the 24th, the only moon aspect all day, and aspect in general all day, is that the Virgo moon trines Uranus. So great time for new activities, for new experiences, getting out into new nature environments, maybe trying new workout regimens with this energy of the Virgo moon. I do want to let you know, I'll talk more deeply about it the following day, but I just want you to be conscious that Virgo is answering to a ruler, Mercury, who's currently building to square Neptune, okay? And a downside of Virgo moon, yes, it's all the things we were talking about. It's hardworking, it is disciplined, it's attuned to the details. Nervous? It is. It is nervous. And I want you to be conscious on Saturday and Sunday around things that you are feeling that are not rooted within reality. Because that's the essence of Mercury square Neptune, is that we could be hurting our own feelings by things that aren't rooted within reality. Like visualizing Aunt Cynthia gossiping about us with all of the other aunts and all of the other uncles and hurting our own feelings. Is that happening within reality? Who knows? But now you're in a bad mood because you were emboldening that. Or does anybody else deal with this? Because I deal with this all the time, where you're just like at a friend's house having a great time, and then you're like, did I lock my door? Did I blow out that candle? Did I turn off the oven? And like you're trying to have fun, but now you just have this thing that you're stressed about, that you're feeding more and more energy towards. You're like, oh my gosh, what if the oven is overheating? And then this is happening, and then you come home and it was off the entire time. That's sort of the vibe over the weekend. Like I have literally turned around and come home to like triple check that the straightener was unplugged. Like all of these things that are like blown out of proportion. Because again, Virgo moon can be nervous, and it's ruler squaring Neptune. So we can be really fantasizing and envisioning all of these things around, oh my gosh, what if this happens? And the oven was on, it was all my fault. Like again, take a deep breath. I would deeply recommend on Saturday, if you are feeling nervous, if you are feeling anxious, move your body, move some energy. That is truly something that every Virgo moon out there needs to utilize, as well as all of us when the moon transits Virgo. Connect to your physical body to turn your mind off, because I'm letting you know, not all thoughts that are coming through over the weekend are A, grounded in reality, nor helpful, okay? Ground down into your body, ground down into nature, make a new recipe, give your brain new things to contemplate that are rooted in reality, because you could be hurting your own feelings, fantasizing about things that are not happening or what could happen that won't even come to be. So if you are in a more anxious head state, ground down into your physical environment, handle what's present in your reality here. Cleaning would be great, doing things productive would be great, anything that'll sort of help you tame some restless energy, because there just feels like you could just be feeling a little neurotic. So having something that you feel like you're funneling that energy into. So on Sunday the 25th, so that nervous, overthinking energy, yeah, that is deeply embedded within Sunday's astrology. It's going to be more active Sunday than Saturday, but I do want to let you know we can be feeling some ripples of it Saturday as well. It's deeply important this weekend. Handle with one thing at a time with what is real in your reality right now, okay? With the energy of the Virgo moon answering to Mercury, who's squaring Neptune, there's this energy around we're stressing ourselves out about things that will never happen. You did turn the straightener off. You know that. You did turn the oven off, right? You don't need to hurt your own feelings or not be present, spending time with your friend because you're so stressed about it, okay? Be mindful of where it is that you are feeding your worries by giving it a vision and detail and like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. Take a deep breath. And I highlight this because the Virgo moon squares off with Mercury and Gemini. So overthinking station. We are deep in thought. We're overthinking all the things. And taking back to the vibe check, we're overthinking. Did I say too much to Aunt Cynthia? Should I have kept my mouth shut? Why did I say this comeback? Uh-oh. Did I embellish that fact and figure? Because the moon opposes Neptune. Neptune enhances our dreams of all sorts, which isn't a negative necessarily, but with the T-square of the Virgo moon and Mercury and Gemini, it just feels like most of our visions around what we don't want to happen, exacerbating our worries or anything of that nature, a helpful way that you can plant in, because a lot of mental energy. So this could be channeled as a lot of ideas. If you are a writer, if you're a communicator, you can be having a lot of ideas. You can be seeing these new visions. Again, I would be conscious on Sunday to gently pull your attention back to fuel what you do want to happen rather than building visions and ideas of what it is that you don't want to happen. And like we've been talking about, keep your gaze oriented towards the future. You cannot go back to that debate with Aunt Cynthia and have this sly comeback or say something different. What was said was said. We gotta move forward. Like, does anybody else feel that around word regret, whether it's in a debate or sometimes like if you're flirting with somebody and then after you're like, why did I say that? Or like, why did I say this? Like you're just in your own head around all of the ways that the conversation could have gone. It didn't go that way. It went how it went, and all we can do is look towards the future. Now I will say with Mercury square Neptune, this is the signature lying aspect. Again, no fear. I'm not trying to feed anybody's nervousness or anxiety or anything in nature. All I'm saying on Sunday, I would be very conscious what people are selling you. Literal salespeople, as well as if people are trying to spin stories that like your intuition is like, why isn't this making sense? Trust your intuition is all I'm saying. Energy of Mercury square Neptune, people could be selling you dreams or telling you what it is that you want to hear. Take it with a grain of salt. This isn't a great time to make decisions. The typical astute Virgo moon mind is being fogged by Neptune. So we're not seeing things clearly. It's like the combination is just giving me this energy when, you know, when something goes wrong with like your car or your home and like you almost just want the first person who sees your car or the first plumber who comes in, you're like, okay, I'll just give you whatever money, whatever you say, here you go. Because you're just so nervous and you're just looking for anything to, you know, quell the problem, right? But sometimes we need to take that moment around discernment. Maybe we need to compare quotes. Maybe we need to genuinely see, is what's wrong with my plumbing actually what's wrong? Is what's wrong with my car actually what's wrong? Because again, when we're in that nervous state around, we just want to get it fixed, we just want to get it handled. Sometimes we can, you know, whether it's like overpay or sometimes not have clear, concise vision of what the problem is here. Like again, I'm not saying any plumbers or salespeople would be deceitful for you, but all I'm saying is with this energy of Mercury square Neptune, believe actions more than words. Maybe you're feeling this with someone you're dating. They're selling you all these dreams, future faking. I just heard that term the other day, future faking around, we could do this and we could do this. And you're like, but why haven't we actually done it in real life? Like Neptune is like, okay, the dream is nice. You're painting a beautiful picture of us in Tahiti, but why are we not ever going to Tahiti? Why are you always talking about Tahiti and we're not actually going, right? Actions speak louder than words. Maybe you're feeling this in terms of that Venus pre-retrograde shadow stuff around this person slid in your DMs, slid in your Venmo requests, whatever, and they're telling you this, that, and the third, how it's going to be different this time. Believe actions, believe patterns. Words can't always be believed, especially with Mercury squaring Neptune. Now, this can be a very dreamy storytelling energy. We can really be able to tap into some next level visions and write about them, tell about them, direct about them. Like there can definitely be almost like having a direct pipeline to muse, to inspiration and wanting to talk about it. But what I will say with Mercury square Neptune, balancing the daydreaming with the living. Okay, Mercury square Neptune is daydreaming about, oh, I could have said this. And I wonder if things would have went like this. That's not how it went. It went how it went. Or maybe you're envisioning, okay, what if next time at the family reunion it goes like this? Or maybe it's outside of the vibe check. Maybe you're more so fantasizing about, oh, next time I see my crush, what if this happens? Because the energy of Mercury square Neptune, it can be a little delusional, okay? And you know, I think delusions have a time and a place. We talked about this a lot in the Gemini new moon horoscope. We talked about this a lot in last week's Magic Monday, both of which will be linked within the description. I think delusions can be helpful. Sometimes it could be self-preservation to dream about what could be. Sometimes it can be helpful for our spirit in order to bolster our dreams. And I do think to a level we are fueling those visions of what it is that we want with energy, which can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think it's important to dream, okay? Even if some of our dreams aren't always rooted in reality. So on one hand, delusions can be helpful. On the other, Sunday isn't a day of a lot of discernment when it comes to our mental processes, when it comes to our conversations. So it's not a day I would have important conversations. Chance for misunderstandings are high with the square to Neptune. I tried to work this in the vibe check, but chances for embellishing in stories, like maybe it's not outright lies, which Mercury square Neptune absolutely could be, but maybe it's embellishing. Like in that heated debate, you accidentally embellished a couple studies that you referenced and you're like, oh, that wasn't entirely the truth. So there can be some embellishing as it relates to language, and the chance for being in our own world and not participating in this one can be high as well. Now, hear me out on this, because I actually found this book. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been reading it, Useful Delusions, and it has been blowing my mind. In this book, basically it talks about how actually being a little delusional can be significant towards living a happy and fulfilled life. I felt so validated reading this book, honestly. Absolutely, the author talks about some of the downsides, the detriments that like being delusional clearly has. But in this book, it talks about how actually being delusional can lead to living a more happy, fulfilled, and successful life. Obviously, there is a limit, but there can be benefits towards being a little delusional or daydreaming, or even just being positive. Even if something sucks, like almost like gaslighting yourself a little bit to be like, but it's all good because of A, B, and C, right? Like you guys saw earlier, I was kind of upset and a butterfly fluttered by. Like in that moment, I just felt so held and supported. In the grand scheme of things, in a harsh perspective on the world, it would have just been like, what? It was just a butterfly, right? But I'm just gonna be in my little Delulu land with Mercury square Neptune and take it as a sign from the universe that everything's gonna be okay, right? Because at the end of the day, and I feel very strongly about this, we have to go with the perspective that is going to allow us the most peace and the most joy as we navigate this world, right? At the end of the day, I can't go track down that butterfly and ask, why did you flutter down? Why did you flutter by me? What was your perspective? Where were you going? What was your ETA? What was your vibe, butterfly? I can't ask it that. I'll never know. And there's lots of things in life we'll never know. We'll never 100% know what happens after we are no longer here. We'll never 100% know the meaning of life. I think we have to be content, A, with that mystery, and B, with the answer that contributes to the most peace and joy within our own soul. Like to me, it brought me peace and joy, enough peace and joy that I was able to finish the video to see that butterfly fluttering by and take it as a sign from the universe. Is that the truth? Who knows? But it provided me joy and peace within that particular moment, and that was good enough. So I just wanted to share that in case anybody wanted to read that book. I know personally for me, I felt very vindicated after being told that thinking was like a flaw of mine. And like, again, I think we need to support the perspective that's going to allow us to move through this world with the most compassion, with the most meaning, with the most purpose, what have you. Like, again, I could probably be a little bit more rooted in reality, but then I'm just gonna spiral and I'm not gonna do anything. So I need to fuel the perspective that's going to allow me to keep moving forward, to keep being optimistic, to keep having faith in the bigger picture. And I encourage you to do the same as well this weekend. Just try not to sign anything and try not to have any important conversations, because Neptune's not so good with that. And just other moon aspects, just the Virgo moon does trine Pluto, so can be helpful to take things into your own hands. Like, again, what are you daydreaming about? How can you make it happen within reality, or at least just like brain dump or conceptualize what it is that you see within your mind can be powerful. Again, I wouldn't have any important dialogues around it. It might just be nice to, collage about it. Do people collage? Any collagers out there? Might be a great day to collage about the visions that you see, or have a rough draft for the novel, or start the piano piece. And then the moon will be void from 3:36 to 3:57 p.m., at which point it enters Libra. So a very balanced end to the week, a call for harmony, a call for connection. My loves, that is our week. Our Magic Monday mantra of the week is, my past informs my present and my present builds my future. Like I said about this week's astrology, there is some nostalgic vibes. Now with Venus entering pre-retrograde shadow, Sun ingressing into Cancer, it's natural to be kind of looking towards the past, looking towards whether it's past connections, past financial opportunities, what have you. And that can be valuable data, right? With Mercury and Gemini, it can be valuable to contemplate around that connection, what it taught to you about you, that financial opportunity, that haircut, if you loved it, if you didn't. Like, looking to the past can provide us valuable data for our present. Oh, I know what haircut I'm not going to get. I know what dynamic I'm not going to allow within my connections. I know what sort of financial mistake I'm not going to make again. Like, again, revisiting the past can help us make more sound decisions in the present. Like, if we do not take that opportunity to introspect, like Venus retrograde can be so powerful to introspect on relationships around, okay, who are the people I typically end up with? What are the dynamics that I typically find, and how can I learn from that in order to shift the patterning, right? Like, it can be very powerful, rather than taking who you hear from or what comes up as a sign. Oh, I need to jump back into this dynamic. Oh, I need to jump back into this. Rather, what have I not healed about this dynamic? What have I not learned about this dynamic that will allow me to build more healthy relationships into my future? It's not to say that you can't restart a friendship or connection during this time, but just find that level of clarity, find that level of introspection and reflection, so that you're not in a cycle, right? Repeating the same mistakes. Or with Mercury square Neptune, you're believing that it'll be different this time, believing someone's promises it'll be different this time, until you're in the same cycle. Like, again, if we don't learn from the lesson of life school, the lesson just repeats. And Venus retrograde is a really powerful time to learn about love, beauty, and money, okay? And so just as our past informs our present around, I know who I will not be dating, I know what sort of financial opportunities I will not be taking, I know what sort of haircut I will not be getting. Like, again, that can be very helpful around what we are choosing to be right here and now. But also, who we are being right here and now is building our future. So, like, as you make past you proud by not falling into the same mistakes that they were in, make future you proud by doing things that they will be happy that you did. Having those tough conversations about your boundaries, standing up for yourself when see fit, allowing yourself to allow your actions to build your dreams. Again, it's this delicate balance this week around, yes, revisiting the past when it is necessary, right? When it is on our heartstrings, but also knowing that the focus is on the future. We can look to the past for inspiration, for clarity, but again, it's up to us to make the decisions that future us will be thankful for. So my loves, that is our week. I am so grateful that you are here. I deeply recommend to get your free chapter of the book, The Care and Keeping of Your Birth Chart in Your Soul. Get your signs chapter. This ebook was made with so much love, and it was edited by Carolyn. I just want to give a thank you to Carolyn. She's a Virgo who helped me edit the ebook. So it's all pretty and grammatically correct because of her help. So thank you so much on that. And you can get your free chapter. I would love to have you within the self-care astrology container or the Luminary of Self-Care container. Luminary Self-Care is a 4-week course that takes you deep through the moon, moon by sign, moon by house, moon by aspect, moon by phase, all of the different components of the moon, and self-care astrology takes you entirely through the birth chart and really creating the big picture tapestry of your soul. So my loves, our emoji of the week that I want you to comment below is a crab. So drop a crab emoji below. I loved your guys' comments last week and how you guys integrated flies. So fun. I just love this community here. And I just want to apologize that I did get upset in the middle of the video, and I just want to express that by no means am I saying that you shouldn't comment things, okay? Or that I'm not open to feedback. Because like I said, during Monday's portion, like I'm always open to feedback. That's how I grow as an astrologer, as a human being. The only reason that comment affected me is just because it's something that I've dealt with my whole life. So again, it just kind of triggered like a deeper story within me. It's not so much about that commenter. It was more so around what just like came to the surface within me, and like everything within me when something like that happens. You know, you hear from someone from your past, or you get a comment of something that's really bothered you, you want to hide, right? You want to cower. You don't want to speak up about it. But I think in spirit of this week's Magic Monday, it's really this energy around, yes, I can revisit the past, revisit what within me is hurting when I see that, but I need to continue to show up for future me, right? So every part of me wanted to turn off this ring light and cancel Magic Monday and never show my face on the internet ever again. But I know that I love doing this. I know that future me is proud of me for showing up consistently. And I know every day that I can kind of reflect on these past stories while not behaving in the same ways, like not hiding and shrinking away, like I continue to show up, and that takes power. So all of us will experience this differently this week, but all I want to say, with the Chiron aspects, there can be parts of your journey that you're like, ouch, ooh, that hurts, ooh, that comment hurts, ooh, that Venmo request hurts, that comment from Aunt Cynthia hurts, right? But it does not define you. What defines you is how it is that you move forward, how it is that you take that sore spot and alchemize it into a source of strength, feeling where it hurts or where you feel tempted to want to hide, but choosing to show up. Like that is making future you so proud, okay? So there might be parts of our journey that hurt, that wound. It's Cancer season. We're a little sensitive, okay? But again, you are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your inadequacies. You are not defined by what is weird about you, okay? You are defined by you. So continue to show up. So I love you all. I'm wishing you all such a beautiful week. And until we meet again, drink lots of water. Stay positive.